Football is back, and there's an NFL game tonight. It is the Hall of Fame game, but Philly Sports Talk is here for another mock draft as we're really now we're in draft season now. A day away from August. It's time to start thinking about drafts. I know ours is in 2 weeks, and I'm sure a lot of people's are a lot of drafts are coming up for people. So today I'm with Cade Gargano. What's going on, Cade?
What's going on, Coy?
Nothing much. So a little bit different today. We've been doing 10 teams the last two episodes, and if you're in a 10-team league, I suggest you go back and listen to those. But today we will do a 12-team mock draft, and Kane and I are not in a 12-team league, but you'll get the kind of raw strategy that we'll be doing, and we're going to do picks 1 and 12, and we'll flip a coin right now before we start. Kate, did you get the invite to the mock?
Yes, I did. I didn't
Awesome.
claim a spot yet, obviously, because we don't know yet. But yes, I'm in.
All right, heads or tails, Cade?
I'll do tails,
All right, we'll say whoever wins it gets the first pick.
or whoever wins it gets to choose, I guess, right?
Yep. Yes, it is heads, and I'm actually not lying. Um, I'll take number one. I don't really care honestly, but I'll take number one here. So we'll start this up, and at number one, this is PPR league, and I'll show the quick layouts again. One quarterback, two running back, two wide receiver, one tight end, two flexes, five bench spots, and for me, there's really no other reason here to not take Jamar Chase. You're at the 101. It's the best bet. I'd like him over a running back. It's Jamar Chase all the way. So I have the draft time set to 5 minutes so we can explain everything that happens. And if you're in a 12-team league, nothing really that crazy going on. This is really what you're going to see, if I'm being honest. I think really the only thing shocking is Malik Neighbors going ahead of Nakua and Amon-Ra and Nico here, even though that's really not that shocking. I could see a world where that happens. But for me, the quarterback situation is a little iffy there, though. But Kate, anything stand out so far before your pick?
No, nothing crazy. I think obviously we're starting to see Jefferson fall a little bit with CD going 2 and Jefferson at 5. I feel like in the past few weeks, Jefferson's his consensus ranking was above CD, but now with this hamstring injury, I guess he's falling a little bit. But no, I don't think anything crazy. I think this is probably the guaranteed top 11. Maybe Derrick Henry doesn't go 11th, but I think he should. But no, I think everything looks good.
Yeah, and you're at number 12 here. So with the guys that are gone, walk us through your strategy here with back-to-back picks.
Yeah, so if you watch the other mock drafts, you know that I like to go receiver, running back as my first two picks. Um, I've been stuck between Genty and McCaffrey because obviously, as everybody knows, if McCaffrey plays, I genuinely think he could be RB1 on the season, and that's not even crazy because he was before he got hurt in 2023. Then he got injured, and it was just a mess of a season last year. So McCaffrey's obviously on the table, but let me secure my wide receiver one with a guy that I think is just going to have a breakout season. I know he broke out last year, but I just think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be so good this year, especially with Trevor Lawrence there, and maybe even Travis Hunter opens up the field a little bit more. I and Liam Cohen. There's just so many factors working with Brian Thomas Jr. that I love. So Brian Thomas Jr. will be my wide receiver one. And now the tough choice, but I think I will go Christian McCaffrey just because of the RB1 upside. I don't know if Ashton Genty could reach RB1 status. I am not sure what his passing volume is going to look like. And if McCaffrey plays 17 games, I know he'll catch at least 50 passes.
And see, this is intriguing. So this is the difference between two people, and I don't disagree with that. Like, it's just my mindset. Coming off of McCaffrey's injury, which was Achilles tendonitis, which pretty much means if he kept playing, his Achilles would have torn. Um, Obviously, you see the game log here on the screen if you're watching on YouTube or even on Spotify. And I'm not a guy that's willing to take the risk. If he were to fall in ADP value, I think it's fine. But and listen, there's nothing wrong with taking him if you're feeling risky. It's a good pick and it can easily pay off, as you said, Katie. I mean, he could be RB1. Um, Now the one thing that you do have to consider, I know you consider, but I'm mainly talking to the people here, especially if you're at a 12 slot or even at 11 or 10. Honestly, you have to remember that you're about to go 20 or so picks without another player. So you're really banking on hoping that Christian McCaffrey is the guy, unless you nail some picks later on. But again, I don't hate it. I mean, the other running backs after him, and Genty, A-Chain, I mean, A-Chain brings his question marks. Genty, brings his question marks. I think Josh Jacobs is safe, but I'd say at the pick 13th overall might be a bit of a reach. But overall, I agree. It's an interesting pick that I have to say I'm not feeling it too much this year. I'm a little concerned, but there's nothing wrong with taking that risk. I do like it. So, and everything else in the second round's kind of status quo. You know, AJ goes, Drake London goes. That may have been one of the guys I took if he fell any further. Bowers and McBride. If you're into the tight ends, that's not bad. Personally, if I were you, I don't think I would do either of these two. But I'm not a fantasy expert at all. It's just the fact that tight ends can change a lot. Situations change a lot. Obviously, Brock Bowers actually is a QB now, and Geno Smith. But sometimes situations are weird. He was dealing with Aaron O'Connell and Gardner Minshew last year, so obviously he should be better than even what he was last year. But it is tough to replicate those seasons sometimes. So the tight end one and tight end two of last year, they go off the board. But overall, I just think there's some value late in tight ends where in a 12-team league, there's a lot that's going on. So other than that, you see the two QBs go, which I don't think is crazy. 12-team league, you got to get your guys. Bucky Irving, Cade, I really think he might take a step down this year. And honestly, that may age poorly, but that's just my prediction. It's been a guy that I've been fading in drafts, but there's not really much of a reason. Just 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns there that you see. I don't know. It's just a personal opinion. What do you think of Bucky at the 210?
So it's tough. I, as you know, am a big Liam Cohen fan. I think he runs such a great offense that maybe Bucky takes a hit in like the efficiency category because maybe the scheming isn't as good. But I just think he's so talented that you probably can't fail with him. Like maybe he was RB 13 last year. I think that's probably his floor this season. I don't think you can I don't think you can accurately say there's going to be 12, 13 other running backs better than Bucky Irving this season. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's an interesting situation. We saw Rashad White a couple years ago. That was very good. But Bucky Irving's actually a good running back. I will say. I don't know. Maybe it's just a fantasy
He is
thing.
being drafted at RB not like he's the ninth running back off the board. That feels like I'm probably going to regret saying this, but RB9 feels like a ceiling. I don't know if he can be a top five running back.
Yeah, it might just be more of a thing of like who the names around him. You know what I mean? That's probably a good way to explain it. When I look at these names, I don't know. That's my personal opinion. So here again, 12-team league. I'm running down the clock here on my first pick. You probably got to go here RB because, or I could go back to back RBs, but there's not a lot of running back options here that you would be very comfortable with. Um, well, there's some good options, but there's not going to be many after this. So I'm going to have to take one running back here. I'm not going to go zero RB because I'm not going to pick for another 20 picks. Now you're dealing with either Kyron, Chase Brown, Brees Hall, or James Cook. And Kate, I do have a favorite out of these four. I have to tell you, um, I'm a James Cook guy. I really am. I think Kyron's interesting to me. I don't know if he's going to replicate his touchdown count from last year of 14. He had 12 the year before that, so he did go up, obviously. I do think Blake Horn's going to get some work. I'm going to pause this real fast. We did take a good little while to explain some of those picks. Jonathan Taylor's intriguing as well. If you listen to the last mock draft, last year was hot in championship weekend, and that kind of inflated his ranking at RB12, even though he only played in 14 or so games. So obviously you see down here, that'll get you going, but everything up here, besides like these three, is just really nothing. So I'm a little concerned with Jonathan Taylor too, and their situation. I saw a report today from an insider in Indianapolis say that the offense is putrid. I think it was yesterday. It said that yeah, Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson were both throwing passes under 40%, and that they could not convert in the red zone, which obviously is advantage offense. So I have been fading a little bit Jonathan Taylor. If he were to fall a little bit more, it might be an interesting pick. Chase Brown too. Bengals RBs have always gotten some good work. RB10 last year, but Kate, I tell you, I'm a James Cook guy. We talked about his touchdown count from last season, but I'm taking James Cook here with my first, even over Brees Hall. The Brees Hall situation is weird. You know, he talked about his contract today, saying that he knows he's not going to get it right yet, and Braylon Allen's obviously in the wanes. Obviously, a massive step down from what he was, but I'm taking James Cook. And do you have any thoughts on out of the four guys who are available there? Me taking Cook?
So I agree with you in the sense that Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, and Brees Hall would probably all be behind James Cook. I just think Chase Brown is so good. I think Chase Brown is definitely above James Cook, and I even think Chase Brown should be drafted above Bucky Irving. I think Chase Brown is going to have a great season. He was RB10 last year, and he didn't even really start playing until I'm pulling up his game log
Late.
now. Week 9. Week 9 was like his first year of, or his first week of being an actual productive running back because he was stuck behind Zach Moss. So to be RB10 on the season and only play half the year, kind of similar with Bucky Irving in that sense that Rashad White was in front of him too. Like I just think Chase Brown's such a talented player, but they're very similar that they're good players on good offenses, so you really can't go wrong. I think the big talk about James Cook is the touchdown regression, but there's not even a guarantee that he's going to regress on touchdowns because the Bills score so much that
Yeah.
like it's not crazy to think that he scores like Derrick Henry level, where if they're in the red zone, like it's either going to be Josh Allen or James Cook. Even though
Yeah.
Ray Davis is coming on, but that feels like smoke and mirrors. That doesn't really feel like much. So I like the James Cook pick.
Yeah, I agree with the Chase Brown stuff. If if you're watching on the YouTube, I showed that I pulled up the game log. It's pretty promising. We saw Joe Mixon was very good with the Bengals and stuff like that. So it's a safe RB situation there for the most part. Uh, Now with my next pick here, I told you I'm not too fond of the running backs. Chase Brown showed some promises I just showed you in his game log, but I just think there's some better options available for a receiver, including Lad McConkey. And I think I'm leaning towards Lad here. Tyreek Hill is interesting in a 12-team player or a 12-team league because if he hits, and like even if he doesn't, I don't think he could be that far off of Lad. I mean, they were wide receiver 18. What was Lad? I just pulled it up. He was wide receiver 13. So honestly, Tyreek Hill is very intriguing for me here in a 12-team league because if Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill does have a bounce back year here, you're going to have the top wide receiver duo in your league, and you probably have the top wide receiver duo in a 10-team league as well. So that is a risk that I am willing to take. I mentioned the Christian McCaffrey one earlier, um, and I think I am going to lean towards Tyreek Hill, Kate. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill. So what do you think?
So I probably would have taken Lad McConkey, but that's just wavering on the side of being cautious. And
Yeah,
that's also with me having McCaffrey. I don't think I would have double dipped and taken Tyreek Hill. That's just too much risk, I feel like. But yeah, I don't hate it, especially like you said with the upside. Like if Tyreek Hill does go back to just Tyreek Hill, then yeah, you'd probably win your league with those two, Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill. Like that's probably two top 5 wide receivers.
yeah, and
So
again,
he's a steal in the third round. He really is.
yeah, they both are, honestly. Like, I mean, they really are. And, Lab was the better player last year, and I acknowledge that. But, the rankings weren't that far off where I'm willing to take the risk on Tyreek Hill bouncing back a little bit. So that was my whole thinking there. Nothing too crazy going on in this third round, as we can see. We see Jaden Daniels go, so this team is heavy. No running back. They're going to have some limited options. This is not a bad setup if Genty can hit. And, yeah, Kate, we can take us through your back-to-back picks here at 12.
So now I'm kind of in between a few different things. Marvin Harrison, I wouldn't hate taking a stab on him. I think maybe not a bounce back year because he did have a pretty good rookie year, just not what everybody was expecting. I mean, he had 900 receiving yards. It's not like he was terrible. Just the scheme scares me more than anything. The scheme and the quarterback. I don't really think it's a talent issue with Marvin Harrison. Um, Jalen Hurts is here. I wouldn't mind having a top 4 to 5, maybe even 3 quarterback on the roster. As a 12-team league, the positional advantages are important. But I think I'm gonna go. Yeah, it's tough because I don't want to double dip on RBs, especially the guys that are here. They're a little risky. Like with McCaffrey, I feel like I need somebody more stable, and Kamara is kind of stable, but he got hurt last year. Hampton, we never know. Walker will be hurt. Mixon's already hurt, so it's weird. I think I'm gonna try to get the positional advantages and go. I think I'm gonna go Mike Evans and I'm gonna go George Kittle and try to get the positional advantage. I think George Kittle. I mean, the fact that you can get him 2 rounds later than the tight ends, and
Oh,
there's a
sorry. I
there's a
accidentally
world
removed
where
him.
no, sorry. There's a world where George Kittle finishes above Trey McBride. I really can see that happening. He's the only pass catcher on that offense right now.
Yeah, it's pretty safe. And I went to go view his player profile. I accidentally removed him. Um, Yeah, there's good value there. And Cade, so I wasn't even thinking of that, that what you would do there with the positional advantage. And you got a good start there, a good foundation in your team that's pretty safe. And with those four guys, it almost feels like you can count this team to be close to like contending a little bit. You're not, obviously you took the risk on McCaffrey, but with these three here, it's pretty good. I'm still fond of Mike Evans. Um, Honestly, if I was in your spot, and this is just my opinion, like this, not we have no idea. I was gonna take Omarion. I really was going to. Out of the running backs that were available, I am pretty fond of Hampton this year. Obviously, Najee Harris is in that backfield, but the Chargers like to pound the ball, and they made a big time pick on Omarion Hampton in that first round. I'm fond of him. If he was going to fall to me here, I was going to take him. So
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I think there's so many. The RB class right now is so loaded because of how many good rookie RBs came out in the draft. Like, I think I would almost rather wait on Hampton. He's been climbing. When I started drafting in like May, he was going like the sixth, seventh round. He's going like he's projected to go in like the third or fourth now. That just seems a little too steep for I don't know. I think he could be good, but I think I'd rather wait and take like a mix of like Henderson, Judkins, Caleb Johnson, like maybe a pair of like two of those guys and see if one of them hit instead of taking Hampton in the third.
yeah, the only thing with me for me with Hampton is I think he's in the best situation. Actually, I don't think going into the league, this is the best rookie running back situation. I mean, obviously Ashton Genty was the first RB off the board, but I mean, this is a great situation for a rookie running back to go into. Not so much talked about like competition because obviously he has Najee Harris back there. It's more of just like a scheme thing, a playoff team, and an offensive line. That's why I like Hampton, but. I agree with you. He has been climbing, and I think he's going to go early in our draft, Kate. I think he's on both our radars, but I think somebody's going to reach on him a little bit. But
Yeah, we
I,
had I believe in our first mock that we did, he went in the start of the fourth, I want to say, maybe start of the
in a
third, one of
10-team league
those.
too, yeah.
Yeah, in a 10 team league. So, like I said, I like the player. I think the value might just be a little too steep, especially for a guy that we don't even know if it's going to break out until halfway through the year anyway. Like we don't even know when he's going to break out or if he even is this season because Najee's on a 1 year deal. They might just try to run him into the ground. And Najee's like not great, but he's also not bad enough where he's going to lose a spot. Like he is a starting running back in the league.
Yeah, I have to say I am fond of Hampton. I agree. I think that is a risk that I might be willing to take. It's tough. It's tough. We'll see come draft time. So nothing really else that crazy this round. Joe Burrow, I probably would have looked to stack with Jamar if he fell. I was not willing to take him over one of these two guys in the second or the third, but if he fell, he would have totally been a pick here. Laporta goes. I'm not that big of a Laporta guy. Obviously, the situation has gotten worse this year for the Lions. They lose Ben Johnson, and now it's I don't know. I don't know what to make of what that offense is going to be this year. It should still be good, but you never know. Um, I know you like Kamara a little bit more than I do. The injuries have just been a problem. That's the one thing with me. He obviously misses championship weekend last year in 16 and 17, and 2023. Couple of duds there, and not anything really insane there. So nothing really here as well. If you're
But
watching
he's
him
so
last year.
consistent. Like when he plays, like you know you're going to get 13 to 20 points out of him. And from an RB2, like that's crazy good. I just couldn't take the risk with McCaffrey on my team.
Yeah, I think I prefer to have Joe Mixon, which is what I'm kind of leaning towards here, even though he does have the injury right now as well. Average 17.18 points per game PPR league last season. This is tough, and it's interesting now. Cortland's son just got the bag today, but I am drinking all the Eagles Kool-Aid. I am going to take Devontae Smith. I do like the Eagles this year. That will be my first flex. So in a 12-team league, I like him as my first flex. And then gives me some options here. I think I like in a 12-team league at this pick taking a waiting on a quarterback and a tight end for later rounds and trying to stack up on players. You can get a guy like Bo Nix and his tight end Evan Ingram later in rounds, as opposed to you know one of these QBs that's going in the fourth or fifth round or even the second, which that could leave you with a big hole at another spot. And obviously you'll get the positional advantage here, but I think that there's going to be bigger holes in their lineup in the running back spot or the wide receiver spot, whatever it may be, as opposed to the quarterback spot. So right here, this is interesting. I'm leaning towards Joe Mixon, but I think the recent injury news might make me lean away in this mock draft. Extended time with the foot injury, I'm gonna lean away towards him. That kind of sucks because I've been wanting to take him. DK Metcalf, I saw like Aaron Rodgers force feeding him in practice today. Pat Fryermuth like threw his hands up because he wanted to get the ball. Um, Not that high on James Conner. Not a bad player, not a bad fantasy guy, but there's only so much upside with James Conner. So I'm trying to find a guy that has a decent floor with some upside here. Tedero McMillan is staring me in the eyes. I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to lean towards Kamara. I'm not that much of a fan anymore. I sold him in Dynasty. I got a good deal. I ended up getting a first round pick for him, which is he's not worth a first round pick if I'm being honest. And maybe I'm going to go for upside here with DK or Sutton. But Sutton has a second flex, and we talked about this last week, Cade. Seems pretty safe. And now maybe the ceiling is a little higher. Like, is there a world where he could be top 10 this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget the year Russell Wilson went to the Broncos. I traded even before the season started, in between our draft and the start of the season. I traded for Cortland Sutton because I just love the player, and I love Cortland Sutton, and I think Sean Payton loves him, and I think Bo Nix trusts him, and I think as your second flex, there's a world where he could be. Yeah, I think he could be like, I don't know if he can go higher than 10. I just don't think he has that upside that some of these elite receivers do. But I could see him maybe having a spike year in touchdowns. I mean, he is a big receiver. So, yeah, I mean, wide receiver 10 isn't insane. I think he'll probably be closer to wide receiver like 25, 20 range where you're going to get like 12 to 13 points out of him. But for your second flex, that's great.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and I think I just made up my mind though. I think I'm going to take the risky kind of upside of Xavier Worthy as my second flex. We were waiting the Rasheed Rice suspension. It's going to be a suspension in all likelihood. It's going to be a steep suspension. BK and I both agree. We both thought maybe even 8 games. Talked about it earlier. But as a second flex in a wide receiver room that's really thin, there's Hollywood Brown, whatever you want to make of that. Jalen Royals, who was a later round draft pick, was kind of an underrated draft pick. He could be an interesting name to watch, but it's got to be some good workload for Worthy here, and there's a lot of upside with his speed, and I'm willing to take that for a second flex here. And yeah, so Xavier Worthy fills out that flex spot.
Yeah, I like that pick. I think we're gonna see Worthy be a gizmo gadget kind of player where he just gets used in every aspect, and you're like, how does this guy just keep getting the ball? And it's going to be kind of like the Rasheed Rice role that we saw him in last year after Rice went down with the knee injury. Like he's just going to get targeted near the line of scrimmage, but he has the ability that Rice doesn't, where he could just burn you on the outside. So I think Worthy's a great player. I think it's a good pick. But
Yep.
now I think I'm what I do every draft because they just look so good. I think I'm going to start picking some of these rookies. I hate that I do it, but I can't stop drafting these rookies. Like Ted McMillan, give me all of Ted McMillan. Honestly, at this rate, he's gonna get targeted so many times by Bryce Young. There was a clip of him making a spectacular catch today. The separation skills do kind of scare me a little bit. I think he's probably the most talented receiver in the draft, but he can't. He's not a great separator at 6'5", 212. Like you would think he would be, but his like spectacular catch, if it was a Madden rating, would be 99. Like he can make these grabs out of nowhere. So I like what the Panthers did at the end of last season. So I'm high on Tet McMillan, especially as my third receiver. He kind of has like that Mike Evans kind of feel to him. They're both 6'5". Like I could see him being a great player in the future. So I'm going to take Tet McMillan, and I'm also going to go Travion Henderson, who I've been taking in every single one of these drafts. I love running backs in Mike Vrabel's offenses. I just think that's how he wants to play. And Ramondre Stevenson just simply isn't good enough to just hold him down too long. Like maybe we'll see him, kind of be the backup for a little bit. But I think by week 5 or 6, he's gonna have a big game, kind of like how Chase Brown did, where everybody goes, "Geez, how is that guy still behind so and so?" And then the
Yeah.
next week he's gonna outsnap him, and it's just gonna go from there. So I really like Travion Henderson.
Yeah, I don't dislike the pick either. I think the Patriots could have an interesting offense this year. Obviously, it's Stephon Diggs, Drake May, um, drafting some offensive linemen as well. So I don't hate it. We see Travis Hunter go right after that, and a couple other rookies, and R.J. Harvey, Quinshon Judkins after that as well. And now my pick here. So obviously I filled out my flex spots, so I don't need to take another receiver starting lineup wise. I really like this four wide receiver set. I'm very high on that. And for me, I'm feeling really good at this pick with taking Aaron Jones as my first pick. Considering my receiving room, and this I'm not that big of an Aaron Jones guy, but considering my receiver room in a 12 team league with James Cook already, Aaron Jones at this value pick here, if I'm going to get RB15 for my RB2 with that receiver set, I really am liking what I'm seeing so far. But obviously, injuries have been an issue on the field as well. It's just an ADP value sort of thing here that I just can't pass up here for my second running back. And that leaves me a spot here where the only parts of my starting lineup are QB and tight end. So I've been willing to wait a little bit longer on that. Baker Mayfield seems pretty nice. I know Kate and I talked about last podcast. He asked me about the situation with Liam Cohen gone. I still like Baker Mayfield here. I'm deciding if I want to take a risk on another skill position. I mean, like a receiver or a running back, or if I want to just go for one of those quarterbacks or tight ends. I think I'm going to wait on a quarterback or tight end. And honestly, okay, right here, I might pull the trigger on Stephon Diggs. The smart move here would maybe go for a running back and just to try to build some RB depth in a questionable running back room. But Caleb Johnson is intriguing there. Obviously, his situation in Pittsburgh going right in. Not really any other alphas in there except Super Bowl champion Kenneth Gainwell. We all know that. Um, I know who you're eyeing up. I'm not even to do it. I'm just not a no Dunze guy. I'm sure if Kate can get his hands on a Dunze coming around, he's gonna take him. So Kate, I think I'm leaning towards the smart move would stack the running back room, but I don't know if I want to do that. In fact, man, this is tough. Uh, I'm gonna go with Stephon Diggs. I'm gonna do it. You know, he's a little bit lower in value here in terms of ADP for when I'm picking him, but you're in a 12 team league. You got to get your guys when I'm not gonna pick for another 20 picks. So I'm gonna take Diggs. I'm gonna take another risk. So worst comes to worst, these all pan out, and Aaron Jones gets hurt. I have to trade somebody for a running back. So I like it though. The smart thing though, honestly, if I was there, maybe Caleb Johnson would have been the smart pick. But yeah, that's what I like there.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I do worry. I think Kyle Williams is really good, and I think that maybe he becomes the alpha in that wide receiver room. I don't know how fast Diggs is going to recover. I mean, you've obviously had your fair share of knee injuries, so you know what it's like to come back from those. It can be it's hit or miss sometimes. You never know what you're going to get, especially like with guys like Diggs who have already made their money. They've already been a superstar. Like how much drive does he really have left? I'm not like doubting that he wants to come back and be a superstar still, but you know what I'm saying. Like you never know what you're going to get out of these guys coming back from season-ending injuries. So, but
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I think the upside with Diggs is huge, especially with Drake May. I think Drake May is talented, so I don't hate it at all. Now I'm in a weird spot because I really wanted Baker Mayfield to make it back to me to stack with Mike Evans. That would have been awesome. Roma Dunze, obviously the third best receiver in all of football behind Jamar Chase and AJ Brown. Um, I still need a tight. I still need a quarterback. I don't need a tight end. I'm good on tight end. I don't need a quarterback, or I do need a quarterback. Uh
Week 14 is going to be a tough week for you, my friend.
why is there a lot of buys?
McCaffrey, Henderson, Kittle, and McMillan.
Good thing this is a mock draft.
And a little heads up for our viewers. Um, our league, we do 2 week playoffs, except for the wild card round. We're switching that this year. So the playoffs will actually start week 13. Round one will be week 13. Semifinals will be 14 and 15. And championship will be 16 and 17. So that's why we made that joke.
So man, I really don't like the wide receivers in this range. Like not even a little bit. I think Cooper Cup is not a good pick. Jawan Jennings is holding out. Matthew Golden could be interesting as a rookie. Maybe I can just double down on running backs. Man, I really don't like this. This is a weird spot to pick from, but I think I'm gonna go. Matthew Golden here. I think there's a chance that maybe he's the alpha in that wide receiver room, but I doubt it. There hasn't been a alpha in Green Bay since Devontae Adams left. They've just it's been just a bunch of mix and matching and seeing who sticks. So, but they did take him in the first round. It is first round draft capital, so you never know. Maybe they like what they see, and Jordan Love gets a connection with them, and he hits. But I don't know how much I like that pick, but I also will go Kyler Murray because I think he's the last quarterback on the board that has upside with his legs. And especially if you do like a boosted quarterback league where quarterbacks get way more points than normal, I think rushing yards are very important. And even though I think this is kind of a make or break year for Kyler at this point too, like if they miss the playoffs again or even just stink and win 5 games, like there's a world where he's not the Cardinals quarterback next season. I could really see that happening. Like he's not a Jonathan Gannon guy. He's not the GM. That they're all new. Like he's not their quarterback. They didn't draft him. So this is it for Kyler Murray in my opinion. So I think this is a career year that we're gonna have to see.
Yeah, it's a safe pick here at this value. I like it. I think he's got a nice floor, a floor that you like. And you round out your starting lineup here as we're looking at it on the screen right now. Obviously, there's some big time questions, but some highly drafted players. With the three rookies in this lineup. But Cade, I don't hate the strategy. It's three guys that are entering a situation where they could produce. The only one that's kind of a little iffy I'm on is Matthew Golden, but that's why,
Yeah, I agree, but I just don't know what other receivers in that slot were that great. Like
yeah,
maybe you could take a shot on Cooper Cup.
now.
I'm not a big fan on him. Maybe
And
Josh Downs, but with all the reports coming out of the Colts is that they don't have a quarterback.
yeah, and this is good ADP value here. It's their first wide receiver drafted since like I don't even remember, like 2001 or something ridiculous in the first round. I had to go back and look at what the stat was again, but um, I like it. I do like the risks there, and a couple of them really aren't that risky. I think Tet's pretty good. Like as a first flex, obviously it's a little intriguing because he's never played, but there's a chance where he could be a decent or a good wide receiver too in fantasy football leagues, maybe even a below average wide receiver one. So I like it, and nothing insane here. We start to see some more QBs go off the board here. People are getting their tight ends, and Cade, if it hasn't happened already, Bo Nix. I was about to say, there's no way he's still there, but I
No,
will
yeah,
take
trust me, I would have taken him if he was.
between Evan Ingram and Tyler Warren, guys. I think Evan Ingram's really safe. I think he could be top 10, dump off kind of offensive Bo Nix and Sean Payton, a good offense, and Ingram can be a reception merchant. But ADP value, this should be done by most teams in a 12-man league if you want to win your league. If you're in a 12-man league and you have a chance to take a risk on a guy like Tyler Warren in the last pick of the 8th round, you absolutely pull the trigger. There's no reason not to. You know, he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be the guy. Actually, I shouldn't say there's no reason not to because about 10 minutes ago I was talking about how there's
Yeah.
been reports in Indianapolis on how putrid the offense is, but I don't care. It's day 4 training camp there when that report was coming out. I am still. There's just no reason why I don't think you should take this risk at this pick here. So I take Tyler Warren. I'm still missing a QB, and this is probably gonna be where I'm gonna have to get ready to take one. So you see the downside of not having a QB yet. But honestly, I lied. I'm going to wait. Everybody else has a QB. If somebody else wants to ruin a roster spot, they can take another QB. Um, Running back here would be kind of smart, but you see the names that are around, and it's not really that enticing. I have to say, Emeka Egbuka here, good ADP value, a first round receiver. I know he's in with Evans and Godwin, but I'm gonna play it safe here. This is gonna be a good pick for me. I get a handcuff. It's a little bit earlier than what he may have should have gone. I would not have been able to get him though in the swing more than in 20 picks later. But this way, I get some insurance for Aaron Jones, and that makes me feel a little bit better with Aaron Jones my RB2.
So now, oh, so also, I was really hoping Cam Scatabo made it back to me. Why is he going behind Tyrone Tracy? Like, I think Cam's the guy now. I think Tracy was like a good little player, but they drafted Scatabo to be the guy. Like, I feel like there's not, and all the clips coming out of camp, and I know you have to, take it easy with what you see on Twitter because some of those clips are misleading, but Scatabo is just breaking off runs left and right. I really think he's going to be the guy in New York. I was really hoping he'd make it back to me.
Yeah, that's not crazy. I don't. I mean, listen, rookies here are good value. They really are. Um, I didn't think it was much for the handcuff, but Cade, you can walk me through your two picks here.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go with Keon Coleman here. I think the upside on him is pretty high. 6'4" wide receiver in Josh Allen's offense. Like, he didn't have a great year last year, but he also did get hurt, and there were some bright spots. He had some nice catches and some touchdowns, but overall, the passing offense wasn't very good last year. If your name wasn't Khalil Shakir, so 1,000-yard receiver Khalil Shakir.
Finding
Um, so yeah, I'll take the shot on Keon Coleman this late, and now I think I'll also I think I'll go J.K. Dobbins here as well. That's a starting running back in the 10th round. Like, you're not really going to see that too often. Maybe with Javante Williams is the only other one. I think everybody else here is a backup.
excellent value there for J.K. Dobbins, and I think there's a big difference between these two. Um, so I like that pick a lot. I like the King Coleman pick a lot. I think you nailed those two picks. Jaden Higgins, this is great value, guys. Very good value. This is very good value. I don't even mind this. I mean, just you can't really go wrong with taking first round rookies in the 10th round of a 12-team league. I mean, like you're taking these. I mean, we're looking at handcuffs here and boom or busts. Not even booms here. This is Michael Pittman we're talking about. Like, there's no reason you should not take risks on first round uh, rookies this late in the draft. So I think it's great stuff. I thought you were leaning towards Ramondre for a second to take the handcuff, but I was like, I don't even think that's a valuable handcuff. I don't think you
No,
need
I
Ramondre
I
in the
just
lineup.
think Henderson just outperforms him
Yeah,
soon.
I completely agree. I thought about that for a second. I was like, no, he doesn't even need to do that. So I'm going to solidify my quarterback spot here right away. There's some interesting names because multiple of these guys are bound to be solid, and multiple of these guys might be better than some of the red QBs you see already on this list. It's usually how it works, but you got to hit on it. Jordan Love is intriguing. QB 17 last year. I know his rookie year, QB 5. Um, Caleb Williams is interesting as well, but I think I'm actually leaning towards. I might take. I don't know. I think I might go Jordan Love. The Caleb Williams. I'm not on the Bears hype train like you're a kid. I just haven't been. I think they're solid, but I don't know.
What about Drake May?
Drake May is intriguing to me. I almost said his name originally. There's
Especially
obviously
because you
rushing
have
upside.
Diggs.
Yeah, rushing upside as well. It, it's tough. So there's some good weeks there, and then there's Cam Ward if you really want to get risky. But Kate, I'm gonna take Jordan Love. I'm a Jordan Love guy. I think we might see a little bit. I think we might see him balance out towards QB 10 again. Obviously, QB 5 is first year, then QB 17. And if there's not much value here, then maybe you can even go back to back QB and try and get some guys. But at this point, if you're in a 12-team league, there's going to be quarterbacks on waivers that are going to perform, and then you just have to make sure you use your fab on them correctly if you are a Freedom's budget league. And if you're a waiver league, good luck, my friend. So I do that. And now, again, you're just looking for upside. Flat out. So Trey Harris strikes me here. Luther Burden strikes me here. Kai Williams strikes me here, as you said. These are all guys that have had or has some hype going into the season around them. And then honestly, you can even look at Nick Chubb with Joe Mixon out. I'm not going to do that here. Um, Upside wise, nothing really insane. I'm going to go probably Trey Harris. Should be
I
the
like
second
that pick a
option.
lot.
Should be the second option for the Chargers this year. So my starting lineup is now rounded out with Jordan Love at quarterback. Obviously, I went no QB strat here, but I'm fine with this when this is my lineup. I really like my lineup here. So, Kate on the clock.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go Kyle Williams. I was just mentioning how talented he looks on Twitter and in training camp when everybody's wearing shorts and no pads, of course. But I think I think him and Drake May, especially if Diggs is going to be out the first few weeks, I think they can kind of build a connection, especially in the Vrabel offense. So now I have Henderson and Kyle Williams. I'm taking pieces of hopefully an up and coming offense, and then I think what I want to do. I think I'm going to go another RB just in case, because you don't want to have to just going through the wide receivers one more time just to see if there's anybody that stands out. I This is going to sound crazy, but Wandale Robinson and Darius Slayton, I feel like like the Darius Slayton especially. I feel like they just give him a ton of guaranteed money. I think they gave him like $20 million guaranteed in his contract. So Darius Slayton might be a part of the Giants offense, but I'm not going to stoop that low to do that. So I'd probably go Bashal Tutin. Probably, I think he's going to probably overrule that Jacksonville offense.
Yeah, nothing really insane there. I agree with you. It's good value there in the 12th round. I want to say, honestly, I don't really know what I was thinking here. I should have taken Dak Prescott. In my opinion, Dak Prescott should have been taken here. Looking at it now, this is a smart pick for the computer here. They get the potential stack if Dak does perform. They already have Josh Allen, but I mean, actually, that doesn't make much sense for them, honestly. If they have Josh Allen,
Dak was quarterback 2 the
yeah,
year he stayed healthy, not last season, the season before.
exactly.
So
So
we've seen him do it.
that's what I should have done. He obviously got hurt last year. I should have taken Dak Prescott here, guys. I would have done the same. That's what I would do. But, Jordan Love was QB5 that year as well. Obviously, Dak was higher. We'll see, though. So, again, now all your needs already filled. I mean, I probably need a running back because I'm banking on the Minnesota RB room and James Cook. But for the most part, you guys have probably already filled out your whole lineup, but now you're just strictly trying to hit on a player. So I could be I am an Isaiah Likely guy. I think one of these years he's going to be a pretty big tight end name. But I am gonna hold off. Okay, there's not much going on down here.
Yeah, no,
um,
it's
this is a deep league. Braylon Allen. I'm gonna take Braylon Allen. We talked about Brace Hall earlier. There's a chance that that running back room can get a little ugly in terms of the Jets are starting to stink it up and they don't want to pay Brees Hall, which honestly would kind of make some sense if they were looking like they're going to be closer to a rebuild than contending. And then with my last pick here, Cade, maybe go with another QB for some upside, or you go running back. I'm gonna take the other handcuff and Ray Davis. So that makes me feel a lot more comfortable with my running back room. Got my two handcuffs because I did go not even hero RB. I kind of went zero RB, kind of like decently solid RB strategy, not hero
yeah.
RB. But I get the two handcuffs in Davis and Jordan Mason, and then another one in Braylon Allen. So that's not a bad strategy if you're not going to lean towards running backs early on.
So I actually did just look it up. Darius Slayton did get $22 million guaranteed in his contract this offseason, a few weeks ago. So I'll round it out with Darius Slayton. Why not take a shot on a guy that, I mean, new quarterback's coming into town. Maybe he'll be the wide receiver 2 in an offense that's probably going to be pretty bad, but you never know.
Yep.
There's not much down there.
No, there's not. You're trying to get some upside there. So we round out the teams. That is the end of this mock draft. To take a look at our rosters real fast. By the way, Hunter Henry, I think, should be getting drafted. He was 10 and 12, and with Drake May, I think he was pretty solid last series. Honestly, pretty consistent. So that's somebody that I would be looking at if he's actually going to go undrafted for some guys that don't really have a tight end. Other than that, there's nothing really that stands out here. Penix is kind of interesting fantasy wise, but who cares? Let's look at our teams. My team, again, you see heavy on receiver, but I feel really good about my receivers when my running backs feel like there's a solid floor there. QB is intriguing here, and tight end as well, but I really like the value for my QB and tight end with what my receiver room is. And off the bench, Stephon Diggs and my handcuffs, Trey Harris. You see I took Harris as the rookie. Normally I take more rookies besides two here, but I got some good value. So that's my roster. Kate, do you want to talk about yours real fast about some different ideas? But it's up to you.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't hate the Kyler Murray pick. I think there's probably some rushing upside with him. There's a world where he finishes inside like maybe the top 6 or 7 uh, quarterbacks. McCaffrey and Henderson, that's a little bit of a risky running back room, but if it hits, which is a big if it hits, it could be nice. Brian Thomas and Mike Evans feel secure. I feel very confident in those two receivers to get the job done. George Kittle as well. I think he could. There's a world where George Kittle finishes tight end 1 on the season, and that's not even that crazy. I think with Ayuk being out for a while and maybe McCaffrey's health being in jeopardy and Jawan Jennings holding out, I don't know what else they're going to do besides give the ball to George Kittle. Ted McMillan and Matthew Golden are 2 flexes and 2 rookies, so that could be either really good or really bad. You never know. Obviously, I think both of those guys could be revolving doors at the flex position, but I don't really hate it. And then at the end, I just kind of took a bunch of upside guys for the bench. That's kind of where fantasy football is won. Is if you can get some guys like Bucky Irving and Chase Brown and guys that just shoot out of nowhere on your bench and you don't even have to risk getting them off the waiver wire. I think that's where you can win your leagues.
I agree. I agree. Um, so my key takeaways, if you're listening to this again, not a fantasy expert at all. Even this league with Cade and I've never won. I've had some good teams. I've had some very good teams when I get into that. But this has nothing to do with skill. These are just good tips for fantasy managers. Take first round rookies late. There's insane value with some rookies in here. Not even some not first rounders. Just some good players that there's just it's impossible to pass up their value this late. And try to find the value in some guys. Again, like I told you, I went heavy wide receiver. So I took handcuffs late. I took my handcuffs trying to ensure for my running back room because it's a decent running back room. It's probably in middle of the pack here, probably below average because you see a mostly every team went heavy running back early on, or they took two and then they went on with their day. But I took one, waited a couple rounds. So, Kate, if you have any standout tips, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, especially in a 12-person league, one, it's important to get positional advantages, maybe quarterback or tight end. And two, I think you need to diversify it a little bit more. I don't think you can go wide receiver in those first two rounds because you're going to be very limited at running back, especially when if you're at the 1 or 12 like me and Coy were. If you double down on any one position, the by the time it gets back to you, the it's just going to be so slim at the spots you really need. So I think wide receiver and running back duo, especially in these bigger leagues, is probably the way to go.
Yeah, and same thing. Just to reverse that with you said heavy receiver. Team three here, computer obviously is a computer goes heavy running back, but Kate, I'll show you what their receiver room looks like. And they took four. They got four running backs there, but DJ Moore and Jordan Addison is so
Yeah, but if you went heavy RB last year, you probably won because it was such a good year for running backs. So it really is like there's only so much skill involved in it. It really is just mostly luck.
yep. But you can help that luck with finding value. Great value here. I'm trying to look at some other guys. This is good value. You know, this is solid value. This is great value. Like this is good value. Great value. Like great value. Great value. All these guys is such good value late on some guys that could be top
There is
25 in
some there is
fantasy.
some very good rookies in this class. Like it's going
Yeah.
to be exciting to watch these guys, flourish. Obviously all of them won't, but there will be some late round hits, obviously.
Yeah, so all right, well that's gonna do it. Again, we still got a little while before the NFL season comes around. I know this episode will be we recorded this the day before the Hall of Fame game, but we'll do one like once a week as we have been doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this and leave a comment if you guys have any ideas. So thank you guys for listening.